So it's Tuesday, we're here on Palm Beach, right outside Mar-a-Lago, and this is the protest of supporters of the former president, just about 100 yards from his house. Actually feels a little bit more like a political rally, and even with all these flags, kind of feels like a tailgate as well.
We feel that he is the only person that can save this country.
I don't think that people are going to get violent because we're not a violent people.
It's probably only a couple dozen people today, which is more than what we saw when we first got here, but definitely making quite a scene with all these flags and a lot of people honking their horns as we go by.
There's one school of thought that says that Donald Trump is looking forward to being having his picture taken and having his fingerprints taken, and he's going to make the most of that. I think, from my conversations I've had with him over the years, that Donald Trump doesn't want this at all. It's not part of the image of Donald Trump, but as he does with everything, he'll make the most of it.
Trump's 2024 presidential campaign raised $1.5 million in the 3 days after he said he expected to be indicted. But his Tuesday prediction missed the mark. By noon Eastern time, it became clear that there would not be an arrest.
Well, it has died down here a lot, but earlier in the day, this entire area was filled with tons of press, onlookers, protesters.
The lack of action raised new questions about when or if an indictment might happen.
Remember, prosecutors don't go to all this trouble involving a grand jury just to indict someone. They also want to make sure their case is strong enough to actually convict someone. A trial involving a former president would be as explosive and controversial as it gets.
The controversy around the former president became the #1 topic of conversation at a Republican retreat in Orlando, a few hours north of Mar-a-Lago. Speaker of the House Kevin McCarthy downplayed Trump's calls for protest, but he sharpened the Republican line of attack against Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, saying a potential felony charge in the Stormy Daniels case may not fit the crime.
This was personal money. This wasn't trying to hide. This was 7 years ago, statute of limitation. And I think in your heart of hearts, you know, too, that you think this is just political. And I think that's what the rest of the country thinks, and we're kind of tired of that.
Other members of Congress took things a step further. The chairman of the House Judiciary, Oversight, and Administration Committees, all Republicans, asked Bragg to testify in Congress and turn over documents about the case. They called any possible indictment a, quote, unprecedented abuse of prosecutorial authority.
We don't think President Trump broke the law at all.
But not everyone fell in line. Ron DeSantis, Florida's governor and a possible presidential candidate, criticized the Manhattan DA. But he also said he would not get involved in a, quote, manufactured circus.
I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that.
When you talk to people, and I'm sure they find out you're from this area and you cover politics on Palm Beach, what's the first question people ask you?
Well, the question I'm getting asked a lot now is Ron DeSantis. The biggest change we've seen as a result of Donald Trump being in Palm Beach and becoming president is that Florida Republicans, who at one time were sort of middle of the road, lightly conservative Republicans, many have become very, very hardcore Republicans. And part of what you're seeing now is when Governor Ron DeSantis won this re-election. He did it spending 4 years as a very hardcore conservative governor.
Because when I was here, it was kind of step and step. It was DeSantis and Trump. Like, is there this schism? I mean,
the war between Trump and DeSantis is purely ambition. They both want to be president. The goal is to win, period. And they'll do whatever it takes to win. So is there personal animosity between the two? Well, as often in politics, it evolves into that because politics becomes brutal and ugly and personal. So I think it has evolved to the point where Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump truly don't like each other.
Up next, as the wait continues into next week for developments from a Manhattan grand jury, the movement in other investigations involving the former president.